Oh, you start.
There you go, recording in progress. So my name is Samsara Morgan. I'm the Executive Director of the Open Better First Foundation. Here we are at our regular Tuesday night meeting, which will have a special emphasis on the Rebozo. The Rebozo, part one, the mystery, the magic, the history, the power of the Rebozo. Trademark all of that, Gena, so talk to me if you want to use it later. Our beautiful guest is Gena Kirby, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and take it from here. I want to point out that this is an extreme wonderful favor that Gena is doing for our practice. We were trying to have her come out in person, and that wasn't working. I want to thank her for making the time to teach us in this way. Part two will be next week at the same time, next week, Tuesday. So this might be different, than we usually are used to receiving this material. Next year, probably, for the past 2-3 years, Gena has come out in person every year from Texas to teach us. And as long as we keep loving each other, which will be
Forever.
well, she will come and help us acquire this beautiful, beautiful art as part of our work. So I think those are all the things that I want to say about that. And Miss Gena, take it away.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. As much as we spent all of our free time chatting and catching up, and I didn't make sure that the videos would pop up properly, but we'll figure it out. Like my son said earlier, I told him that I was nervous about teaching tonight, and he's like, "You've done this before." I thought that was really sweet of him. So for the sake of recording, Samsara, it looks like the camera's on you because there's the yellow box around you. I'm not sure if that's...
The yellow box will pop up whoever's speaking.
Okay, well, it's not on. Oh, now it is. Weird. Okay. So thank you for having me. I'm really happy to meet all of you. I wish we could have met in person. It's one of the things that I look forward to every year is getting to get out to Oakland and see Samsara in person. And unfortunately, we can't do that right now. So once I figure all of this out, I will share some pre-recorded video with you because it's really hard to talk about it without showing you how to do it and have hands-on. So, but we can work through all of this. Everything is doable. Oh, I just figured out how we can get some of these videos up. I'm going to send you an email in a second. So what I had said in the beginning was, please tell me what you're hoping to get out of tonight. I have a long time ago had a friend of mine come with me to a lot of workshops because when my son was born, I used to take him with me to every workshop I went to from the time he was born until he was 2. And so my poor friend had to sit through, I don't know how many, maybe 20 Rebozo workshops helping me out. And she said, one time, I think it was maybe the 10th time we were traveling, and I said, "Oh God, aren't you sick of this yet?" And she said, "No, because it's always different." And the workshop's always different because of who attends. And when I go to speak to people, I ask everybody, what are you hoping to get out of this? And I think a lot of people don't really think about it until they get there. And then when they share what they want, that kind of shapes the workshop. So how many people here, I think I can see everybody, have been a doula for more than a year? Okay, and so we got like a tiny percentage, because my favorite thing is brand new doulas who haven't been, who it's like, I don't even know how to say it without sounding crass, like they're fresh and they haven't been molded yet. So I like to get my hands on them.
Yeah, like little
early on when they're baby doulas. But yeah, so how many more than 5 years? Okay, so just, okay, good. All right, cool, good. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that comes up. Being a fairly new doula, I'll say like 5 years in, that doesn't really get touched on in our doula trainings. And when I say our doula trainings, I mean the traditional ones that when we didn't have a lot of choices back in the day. And so I'm excited to share a bunch of new stuff with you. I did see that people were asking about, where was it? Was the questions up here? Oh, where did it go? Oh, I think it was before I checked out. But anyways, I would be remiss to talk about anything without talking about the history of the Reborso. So for me, when I first learned about it, I learned about it as a technique, as a tool. These were all the kind of words that were thrown about when I first found out about it. And I ended up treating it that way. And what I want to share with everybody is what not to do. I think that we should hang out with each other more often. I'm sure that's what you guys do typically on a Tuesday, is share your stories and get together and share in that way. And that's the best way to learn. I sat up one night with Gloria LeMay until like 4 a.m. She's a midwife in Canada. And we just talked about all of the biggest mistakes we've ever made with our clients. And that was one of the biggest learning experiences I ever had. And I wish that we could do that more often with one another. And one of the biggest mistakes I made with the Rebozo with my clients was not telling them about it. I would like spring it on them like a surprise when the time came for something. If my client was saying, oh, I'm having round ligament pain, I would say, oh, well, let me go get my Rebozo. First of all, she has no idea what that is. It sounds weird. It has the word bozo in it. Like there's no way for her to know what I'm talking about. And then she's in the throes of labor and I'm trying to explain what the Rebozo is and how Mexican midwives have been using it for centuries. The poor thing's like just looking at me like I'm nuts. So that was like, I think my biggest mistake ever was not sharing it in my prenatals. So one of the videos I'm going to share with you is about presenting it to your clients in that way. But I don't want anybody to leave here thinking that the Rebozo is a tool. It's not a tool. This is something that is sacred to people. This is something that many Mexican people were carried in a Rebozo when they were babies, and tears were wiped with the Rebozo. And women had their, if they had a miscarriage or a stillbirth, they would take that baby and wrap that baby in a Rebozo and treat the Rebozo with essential oils and smudge it and bury their babies in it. Grandmothers will be buried with their Rebozos. It's not just a piece of fabric and it's not a tool. And I don't wish to share it with anybody if that is going to be the takeaway. So if I do a good job, you will be looking at it in a different way than you did when you came in, if you've never taken my workshop before. That's my biggest goal, is that you don't look at it like something to do something to somebody with, because that's not how it should be shared. I took someone's Rebozo workshop, and they were saying that the history was where it came from. In their workshop, they were saying that the Rebozo was indigenous to Mexico. And in a lot of the readings that I've done and research that I've done over 15 years, I've also heard that it was presented in Mexico in a different manner by the Spaniards, by the colonizers, where they brought over their version of it, which was a mantilla. So far, there isn't any solid evidence of where it came from, but people all over the world have been using fabric as soon as they learned how to make fabric to carry their babies and use it in different ways in their homes. Yeah. So yeah, it's everywhere. When I taught in Johannesburg, this wonderful woman come up to me and she gifted me, I think I have it up in my closet right now, a it looks like a rebozo, but it's not. It's from Africa and it's super old and older than Mexico. And just having this piece of fabric where they carry their babies in it and used it for different things and in labor, she shared with me. So using fabric isn't just and only belonging to people in Mexico or South America. It's just been inherent. I love this idea of people getting ideas at the same time in different parts of the planet before we were able to Zoom each other. There's a story about these two different anthropologists who one was in Africa and one was in the United States. This is in the late 1800s. And they were both studying the same thing. They were studying people giving birth. And they both found that in America with indigenous people that women didn't give birth laying on their backs, that they would stand up with indigenous people. He was looking at folks women would put a stake just outside of the village and would hold on to it to give birth, or they would hold on to the tallest dude, even if it wasn't their husband in the tribe, and hold on to him while they were giving birth. Nowhere did they see anybody laying down with their legs in the air. And they were both discovering that at the same time. And I love the idea of that. So same with the Reborso. If you're going to use it, I really would like to ask you to please purchase it from indigenous people in Mexico. I always source rebozos from, I've been buying from the same family for, I don't know how long now, 12 years, 10 years. Just to make sure that there's no such thing as a cheap rebozo. It takes a long time to make. The people who are making it need your support, especially if you're going to be using it to make money. Please support indigenous people when you are purchasing rebozos. If you ever have a question about if something's authentic or not, call me. I'll tell you just by looking at the picture if it is or isn't. I'm going to send you guys some, I'd like to get everybody's email if I can, because I've added some things to my workshop and I want to send people photos of what an authentic rebozo looks like and what some of the things are that are online. People have brought like blankets into me thinking that they purchased a rebozo. I've been supporting two different families, one in Guatemala. They sell a rebozo, but it's different than your typical rebozo. The typical rebozos in Mexico are going to be about 6 feet long. If you're wearing a baby in Mexico, and if you're Mexican like me, you know that many Mexican women aren't super tall. So we don't need tons and tons of fabric. 6 feet is usually just enough. But what I have found in working with the rebozo in America, a lot of my clients, I don't know why, but I tend to attract these super tall Amazonian type women. I don't know why they want me, but they always want me to be their doula. And you need a longer one. So some of the families that I've been sourcing from, they make longer rebozos. So you're looking at like 8 or 9 feet. And that will really help with certain techniques. And I'll show you later what I'm talking about. But if you're using a 6-foot rebozo on somebody who's 5'10" or taller, it's not going to get the job done. But please, when you do purchase them from Mexico or Guatemala or anywhere where people have been making rebozos for a long time, as long as they're indigenous makers. And you want to make sure that they're being paid for the work that they're doing. Like I said, there's no such thing as a cheap rebozo. Do this if you are making a living doing this work. Purchase the rebozo. If it costs you $60, charge your clients an extra $60 and write off all of your purchases. That way you're not going broke doing the right thing. And they're going to love it, because I always tell my clients to gift the rebozo to the clients. And now you've given them an heirloom. and you've given them a beautiful gift. And all of my clients, regardless of the outcome, whether they have a cesarean section or give birth physiologically in the hospital, they remember the birthing time where they use the Rebozo, and it's special to them. So this is a gift that you're giving them, essentially, even though they're paying for it. Am I making sense so far? This is so weird. I've never done this on a Zoom, so it's so hard not to have that that feedback and the oxytocin and the eye contact. So that's why I'm saying I'm a lot. This is so weird for me. Okay. Let me see if I can get this done. I want to ask everybody, outside of knowing about where the Rebozo comes from, what are you hoping, what do you think you're going to do with it? Like, I want to know what everybody's expectations are so that I can, I make sure that I'm hitting all the bullet points. Like Shanae, anybody, Julia, if you can, anybody who hasn't taken my workshop yet, what are some of the things you think you can do with the Rebozo? What are some of the expectations that you have? Just ask me while I am furiously Gmailing Samsara the video. Anybody, save me.
Feeling shy, go ahead and put it in the chat.
Yeah.
It can assist with helping change the position of the baby, right?
Yeah, let's talk about positions. Awesome. Yeah, these are bullet points for me. So keep throwing stuff out.
Yeah, and
because I get really big into that.
I'm thinking Rebozo is a form of baby carrier, and I always like to see techniques for getting the baby on the body, getting the baby tied up, and how that works on different body types is important to me.
Awesome. Okay, I think I did this.
It's really good for just all those things, and relieving some, just some tension in the body and creating some space, hopefully.
Okay.
Can I, since you're trying to email, can I share a little story? Can I be a little story-ish?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Did you already
So-
email me? Did you email me, Gena?
No, I'm just going to send it to you in a direct message right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Gena, for everything you just said. It totally resonated with me. I'm like a fabric person. I love fabric, and I come from like when my mother passed away, literally, I inherited like 7 huge boxes of fabric. That was my legacy from my mother. So we're fabric people. I used, my children are 16 and 19 now, but when they were little babies, I wore them. I used those wrap slings that are super duper long, made out of open weave fabric. They're definitely not Rebozos, but I did wrap my babies onto my body with that fabric. It was really, I don't know, it really was congruent with me and my way of being in the world. So I could really relate when you were talking about women all over the world doing that. Recently, I was at a birth with a midwife friend of mine who has, hey, yay, we see it.
It's working?
Yes. Can you see it?
No. Oh my God. I'm so excited. Hold on. All I had to do was get up. Oh, I'm so excited. Hold on. Oh, you can see it?
Stop sharing for right now, but we can do it. We can get
Woo! Okay, yay.
All right, let me be quick. Let me wrap it up. So I was recently at a birth with a midwife who has been in Mexico. I'm in Hawaii. She's from Hawaii. She's spent like the last 10 years maybe in Mexico. And the baby was in a really, really funky position. And so she used the Reborso to do a few things to try to help the baby reposition. Unfortunately, in the situation we were in, he didn't reposition, and the mother ended up transporting. But I think that was because of the way the labor was managed by the primary midwife. Anyway, I would just really love to know more about how to use Reboso to help women navigate. And I understand the relationship with fabric. It can be so comforting. Yeah, so that's enough. That's what I'm hoping to learn.
So let me be a pain in the neck and say, to remind everybody, except for Tara in the circle, we are doulas. So we're going to be learning the Rebozo for doulas. There's things that midwives do with the Rebozo that doulas do not do. And that's a big no-no. So it's important to have that line in the sand that, you know, there's wonderful ways that doulas can help with what you're talking about, but the big magic of the Rebozo is in the hands of the trained midwife.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as that goes, I know I can't tell you how many people have been, I can see the disappointment on their face when they find out in my workshop that you're not going to learn how to move a baby. And they're like, that's why I came here. That's why I came here. Well, here's the whole thing for me. This is my philosophy. It's none of your business where the baby's at. That's not your business. The person who's giving birth knows that body knows how to give birth, and that baby knows how to be born. And that's not your job. And we can do so much good in that area by doing everything that we can to keep that person as calm as possible. And for when they feel calm and they feel loved and they're seen, they get out of their own way, and then baby goes, oh, thank goodness, and finds their way. So much of, because that isn't getting done, the baby has a harder time finding their way.
Exactly.
And I think too much emphasis is being put on what we can do to move the baby. I don't move babies, I move moms. That's what I do. So whoever is giving birth, I'm going to make sure that they feel loved, they feel seen, they're respected, they're not scared, they're in a calm state to give birth. But that is more of the magic than anything else for me. You're going to find out that my Rebozo workshop is 90% keeping the birthing person calm. That's it. And how we can use the Rebozo to facilitate that. And so much of that is giving a lot of information and power to whomever the partner is, whether it's her best friend, her girlfriend, her same-sex partner, her grandma, I don't care who it is. Whoever that person is that she invited into this sacred space, that person is my new best friend, and I'm going to do everything I can to make their connection super solid, because that's so much more important than me. I'm not coming to the baby's birthday party. I'm not hanging out with these people after this one day. So my job is to make sure that whoever that person is that she invited feels as seen, as supported, as respected, as loved as the person giving birth. Because when that happens, then that's how you change your community, right? It's the story that the partner tells is that ripple effect that you have in your community. When they say, oh my gosh, that was amazing, and I did this and I helped, and when they feel that they were involved and they were hands-on, and they were connected to that birthing person, that feeling that they give, the story that they tell, is how you're changing birth in your community, because it's just as strong of a story as the one that the birthing person shares. And if that partner is blown away, and if that partner realizes that birth is normal, and that partner felt loved, respected, and seen during that time, they're gonna be your biggest and best advertiser. They are going to be the ones that scream from the mountaintops how awesome the doula was, and how everybody should have one. That is what changes everything. It's at that point, that's where the Reborso is way more powerful than you knew. It's a talisman that you're leaving with them, and it's a tangible version of you. Because later on, 6 months after the baby's born, and mom's out with the baby and has the baby in the Rebozo that you gifted them, and it's gorgeous, and they're somewhere in the grocery store and somebody says, oh my gosh, that's beautiful, where did you get it? And they say, my doula gave it to me. And they're like, well, what a teachable moment that is right there. Like, what's a doula and what's this? Oh, this is Rebozo. We used it in labor. What? There's just so many opportunities for you to make a difference in your community without ever having to worry about moving a baby. It's not something that that I'm ever really gonna share, and I'll still share it with you so you understand how it works. But I don't want doulas leaving this meeting going out and, like I say, Rebozoing the shit out of it. Can I cuss here? I'm not going to cuss a lot, but I just don't want you to go out and Rebozo the shit out of your clients. I'm hoping that maybe the only time that you really even use it is just to stay warm I got to turn this fan off because I'm cold, is to stay warm in the hospital, and that maybe you never even use it. But if you do, I'm hoping that you share it with your clients so that they can use it on each other. Because if you have them practicing, and we're going to go into this video next and things will make more sense. If you have them practicing with the Reborso on each other, again, if it's grandma, best friend, lovers, I don't care who they are, as long as they love each other. If they're practicing with it, it's going to become a Pavlovian response for the birthing person to go, oh, the Rebozo just came out, and their response is calm. So the first video I'm going to share with you is about the first visit. And then please take notes or whatever, write them down so I can answer your questions after we watch it. And this video is me newly postpartum. I think Jack's like 6 weeks old.
Oh,
So I still look very pregnant. I need to make a new video.
you want to start now?
Yeah, let's start right now. Oh, and ask questions in the chat as we go, and then I can answer them after.
I don't think you can see the chat and the video, so it would have to be.
No, I mean, just type them in. Oh, maybe you can't. Okay, well then just take notes. Oh my.
Okay, so you're in their house. So I will need a volunteer. I know you wanted to, but unless you could do it laying down. Okay. No, probably not. How do I do this on camera? Okay. I'll lay down for you. Okay, come lay down. I'm gonna be touching you. Is that all right? Okay. That's why we did my new best friend, because I'm touching a lot of you. I think it'd just be more comfortable for everybody all the way around. Let's do this. Carrie, I'm gonna ask you to move your book a little bit, and I'm gonna have her lay down on your side, facing everybody. Okay? I got all comfortable now. I gotta get up. Okay. I full on skipped the history, so remind me to do the history in a little bit. I feel bad.
No worries.
Ooh, history of what? The Rebozo. Skipped that. I got all excited. Started without it. Okay. Alrighty then. So I asked them where in the house they're going to feel comfortable. We're in their living room, say. Or maybe we're in the bedroom. Where are we at your house? We're in the bedroom. Woo! Awesome. That's right. Okay, so I'll have her lay down. I'll say, Susan, why don't you go ahead and lay down? And what's your partner's name? Terry. Terry. Okay. So Miss Terry, Mr. Terry? That's Mr. Terry. Okay, just want to make sure. You never know. All right, I'm taught a lot of places. Okay, so Susan and Terry. So I'll say, Susan, go ahead and I'll have you lay down on your side. Terry, I'm going to share with you some stuff right now that's going to help you to help her in early labor. and some other times too. This is going to be something you can do on a Wednesday after she got in an argument with somebody on Facebook, or she had a bad doctor's visit or something. The doctor said something dumb and she's crying, or you never know. Just if she's not in a good place, you can use this. She doesn't even have to be in labor. Okay. And I want you guys to practice this about 3 times a week if you can, or more. All right. So Terry, check this out. What we're going to do is we are going to take the Rebozo, and I'm just going to pass it over for body. Now for dualists, now I'm not talking to Terry anymore, I'm talking to y'all. This is essentially Penny Simpkins' roving body touch, or the check-in, right? Is anybody not familiar with that? I'm not. Okay. It's she'll have the partner like touch mom in different places of the body and have them pay attention to that part of her body, so it gets her out of her head, right? And it gets the partner to touch her, which is good, right? And she'll pay attention to that part of her body and tense it up and then relax it. And then they just go over her whole body, right? And if they're practicing that a lot, it's like Pavlovian. She'll just know, like, as soon as he touches her, that, oh, I'm gonna relax, which is good, right? So we're gonna do that, but we're gonna use the Rebozo. I don't tell him all of that. I'm telling you guys all that, right? But instead of using my hands, I'm gonna use this, which is awesome for those clients that say, I don't like to be touched. Right. Because I was at such a lot, my second client ever of all time just told me that. I about died. It was right when she's writing the check in the living room. Oh, wow. Right. She's like, oh, by the way, I don't like to be touched. It's like, oh no, well then don't. Give me the check. What am I gonna do? I hadn't had a second birth ever. Are you kidding me? It worked out great, but I remember just flop sweat immediately. Like, oh my God, what am I gonna do without my hands? So I really wished at the time, and this is gonna happen to you today. Don't beat yourself up, because I remember when I took that first class, I was like, oh my God, what have I been doing without the Rebozo my whole life? You're fine. We only know what we know when we know it. So I wouldn't be standing on the bed, but I'm going to stand up to show you guys this. You can kneel and do this, but I'm going to stand. So I'll have Terry watch me. This is super easy. And what I'm going to do is show him how to do this, but I do this toe to head the first time only. After that, it's forever head to toe. Okay. The reason I'm going to go toe to head is because I didn't do any paperwork. Remember, I didn't do any of that stuff yet. I do it here. All the questions that I used to ask her, like, is this your first pregnancy? Like all those questions I ask here. And I'm going to share with you more about that when I get to that part. But I'm going to go toe to head. I just want you to remember to always go head to toe, because after this, when they're practicing and in early labor, we want all the energy to come this way, right? But this time I'm going to go toe to head because I want her to talk to me. I want stuff to come out of here for me. Just this one time. That's the only time I do it. Okay? All right. So I start here, and I start with my tassel stand in case she's ticklish. I want to know. Right? You seem to be okay. Okay. So would you rather? I can do 3 different things here, Susan. I can drag it along you, or I could bounce it like this, or I can kind of jerk it. Which do you prefer? Dragging. I just realized how light this was, so I doubled it up here, or quadrupled it up. Okay, so as we do this, I'm going to drag this across your body, and I just want you to become aware of that part of your body. And don't put any judgment on it. Just become aware of it. Like, oh, okay. All along your body as I do that. And while we're doing this, I want you to practice breathing through your nose and pushing it out of your mouth, because we might be doing some of that too during labor. And I'll tell Terry how important it is that she's breathing. And for guys too, I let them know that when you're doing that deep breathing in your nose and out of your mouth, what's happening is there's an actual reaction when you breathe that way that allows for more, it's like a pain relief, not a hormone. I'm totally at a loss for what's going on here. I do a much better job when I'm explaining it to the guys. But it really helps with pain relief. There's something that's really going on when you breathe deeply through your nose and push out. Try it next time you stub your toe or something, okay? Because my husband never believed me until he hurt himself. I'm talking to the dude right now, not just you. And then I said, make sure, Terry, when you see that she's not breathing, try to match your breath to hers while we're doing this. If you see that she's not breathing, remind her, but don't remind her by telling her. Okay, you'll never believe, I've been yelled at for telling people to breathe, breathe, Terry. Wouldn't that bother you? So make sure you remind her by just breathing yourself, right? So you see that she's not breathing, just go. And she'll know, she'll pick up on it. Susan seems really smart. And we do this. Don't forget the baby, okay? This might be the first time today, this week, or this pregnancy that she's really like aware of her baby. I've had moms start crying right here just because they're like really became aware. Like, and then, it just got real here too. She's like, I got a doula and this baby's coming out of my vagina and she's got a Rebozo. It's got real fast for her. They're becoming aware, everybody. Good. All right. And then we're going to do this a couple of times, Terry. And they always want to know, how many times do I have to do this, right? I tell them, you want to just look for her to go from here to here. That's all you're looking for. It might take one pass. It might take 10, right? So this is where I start talking to her, right? I'll start at this point. I'll tell him that he only has to do it until she seems relaxed. Once you've reached that moment, Terry, take her Rebozo like this, and you're going to cover her up, like you're tucking her into bed. When was the last time you were tucked in? That's usually what everybody says. Oops. There we go. I just want to get that light out of your face for a second, let you relax, but I don't want to suffocate you. All right. So, Terry, what you do is you cover her up, okay? And then you're going to offer her a nice light, long stroke massage, okay? Did you see what I just did? What did I do? I touched her. Right? When I was first started out as a doula, I remember thinking, like in the interview, and I'm writing everything down, like, so when am I going to touch this lady? You know what I mean? Like, and is she me naked the first time? Like, or how do I go about doing this? Or do I announce it and say, no, I will touch you? How do you do that? It's so awkward, or it was for me all the time. It was always like that first kiss, right? You don't really know where to put your face, and then what are you gonna do with your hands? And if I touch his butt, am I gonna look like a slut? You know what I mean? Like, very awkward, right? So here, when I'm doing it this way, it just makes it so easy for me because I already told her I was gonna touch her on the phone, right? I already said that, and I'm sharing it with him something here. So I tell him right away, so you're going to cover up and offer a nice long stroke massage, right? And this is where I find out more about Susan. Susan, do you prefer a soft touch or a light touch? Soft touch. Okay, so now I know more about my client, yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah? So nice. Terry, she's right now, she's asking for a light touch. What we're going to do is do longer strokes. This is where I talk to him about how this is patting, okay? This is rubbing, okay? And this is sanding, okay? And we're not gonna do any of those things, okay? We're gonna do nice long, and for her, light touch, okay? So I'm gonna do this. While I'm doing this, I'm gonna talk to Susan and ask her all those questions that I used to ask on paper. I get so much more here. I'm gonna take a break really quick, hold on. I want some water. I'm gonna wait a second. Poor baby. I'm like, where's my baby? And now I'm probably leaking. I hope I'm not. You're gonna leave that part in the video. Okay, you go ahead and do that. I don't care. I don't care here. I don't care anywhere else. Okay, so I'm thinking like editing. So where was I? So a nice light stroke, and this is where I'm going to ask her those questions that I used to ask on paper. So you can imagine how much different things are this way, right? And before it was asking you questions right here. I just really met you this one other time at Starbucks. You don't know me really, and I'm asking you very personal questions in your face, right? Eye contact, and it's so hard for this person that first time to really let go of those walls, right? Because we all have them. We protect ourselves, right? So she shouldn't be talking about maybe this isn't her first pregnancy, you know? Maybe she lost a baby. Maybe these are things that maybe she doesn't really want to talk about right now, okay? But she's laying down. She's protected, right?
It's not direct touch, right?
And I'm not in her face. She's not even looking at me. So there's a lot of there's so much stuff going on here. It's one technique, but it's like, it's huge right here. I'm touching her and we're talking, right? Right away, she's relating touch to me. Like, hopefully it feels good. Is this okay? Mm-hmm. She's going, I like it when Gena's here, right? Hopefully, okay? And she's going to tell me a lot more here than she ever would, sitting right here with a table between us, right? My heart's talking to her heart without me knowing it, right? The touch is creating oxytocin. Those feelings of bonding are happening, right? I see a little movement back there. All kinds of good stuff's happening here. And hopefully she's telling me all this stuff, right? When I did leave out, when I do the passing over, but before I put this on, I'll tell her, I want you to let go of any thoughts that aren't serving you today about your pregnancy and your birth, right? Which will bring up those thoughts, and then we can talk about them, okay? So right here, I've elicited all this good stuff. And like I said, we have a barrier, so she's protected, because there's a difference between touching her here and touching her like this, isn't there? What's the difference?
You know, over the Rebozo, it felt softer. There's a glide for me.
It's smoother for you? It's also a lot less intimate. There's something between us, right? I mean, y'all have gotten a massage before, right? Okay. If you go and get a massage without the sheet, you're having a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Know what I'm saying? And if you're like me, when I get a massage, the minute my face is in that little hole, I start telling this person I've never met before all kinds of stuff that I don't even tell my girlfriends, right? It's just like, it starts coming out of it. As soon as they start touching me, I'm just like, oh, boy, it just comes out. And that's what happens here too, right? It's a whole different relationship. And it's not because you're an awesome doer. This is the facilitator. This makes it so much easier for you to do that. So it's just.
When you do the upward one, is it just once?
Just for this meeting with me and her. This is the one time that I do that.
Keep going up while you're talking to her?
Yeah, I really wait till I see her relax, till she's like, oh, I like this, okay? So what we do is, once she's kind of told me all this stuff, right? Then we flip her over, and I have Terry come and do it. So Terry and I switch, and Terry does all of this, and that's when I talk to the partner. That's when I talk to Terry about the questions that I'll ask the partners, like how do you see us working together? I have them always go head to toe. I tell them how important it is. I'm like, okay, so where would you prefer the baby come out? Like, if it's down here, go in that direction. Just remember where the baby's coming and go that way. Asking him questions about, how do you see things going wherever it is, home or hospital or whatever? How do you see us working together? Or the questions that I ask, I don't know what you all ask. I ask them when he's doing this. Okay. And this is just purely from my own experience, but I found that when I'm talking to men, and it's not always men that we're talking to, but when I'm talking to men, they tend to tell me more when they're doing something, when they're busy doing something. My husband's kind of shy. And he, even with me, he'll talk more when he's washing dishes, or he always insists on talking to me when he's vacuuming. Like, I'm like, what? But he wants to talk then. So here's Terry, right, taking care of Susan and massaging her, right, and and he's talking to me. When I left something really important out, and I'm so sorry. When I have them either in the bedroom or living room or wherever, when we're going to go lay down, I make sure that I put the partner, or I'd position him. I'll say, Terry, can you sit over here for me? Or even right there where you're at is fine, because they can make eye contact. I'm trying at every turn to get them to trust me and feel comfortable with me, right? So by putting him in this situation, if we end up talking, he doesn't have to look at me if he doesn't want to. Let's say he's a really shy, reserved person who feels very uncomfortable with eye contact. Okay, then he doesn't have to look at me. He can look at his beloved here. Okay, he can look where he feels comfortable, instead of giving him the option of ceiling or floor. okay? Because I don't want him to feel uncomfortable. So make sure you do that too. There's like a lot of little things that happen that make it work better.
So where do you put him here?
Wherever he can see you, wherever you can have eye contact, right? So when we switch, I sit over here and I can talk to her face to face now that she's kind of let down her wall. And I can talk to her and him while he's doing it, right? And I encourage her to, Susan, how's that feel to you? Oh, I like that. So he's getting feedback that he's doing a good job. Okay, so we want to make him feel important. It's important to men to feel needed. It's very important. That's really high on their hierarchy of needs. Joe talks about men's hierarchy of needs, and feeling important and looking like they know what they're doing is really high up there, right? It is. That's their role, you know? So he's over here touching her. I'm over here talking to them as a team, right? And then the best part happens here. After he's been told he's doing a great job, I have him lay down and I have her do it to him. So Terry's here getting a massage from Susan, right? Feeling what that feels like. So he can go, oh, okay, so next time I'm going to do this, right? So he knows it's not a theory anymore for him. And he's getting touched and he's thinking, because, okay, I'm Susan. This is Terry, right? Terry's laying down here going, I like it when Gena's here. Right? Yeah. She's got good associations and good things happen when Gena's around. I like this, right? That's what we want too. They want them to be like stoked that you were at their house, right? Good things happened when you were there. I like that. I got a massage. This is so nice.
When she says the partner, they're going
head to toe. Yeah. Yeah. So he knows what that feels like, right? And then already you're helping to bring intimacy to them, right? This is kind of like almost like a marriage counseling session where you're getting them together. And when he's being touched, I'll ask the more tender questions, like, have you ever seen a birth before? How were you born? It's really important that I ask my clients how they were born. For me, it's super important, and it's great when they don't know, because then they can find out. But what happens is if we all don't know what their birth was like, we can kind of find out the hard way when their children are being born, because they can have muscle memory experiences and they don't understand why they're afraid at crowning. And then you find out later on that they were a forceps baby birth. Or yeah, this is Anna Verwal is amazing. She's a doula that you should know. I think there's 2 A's in her last name, Anna Verwal. She does birth processing, like via Skype with folks. So if you know anybody who needs to process their birth, you want to totally go to her. I did a show with her it was a while ago. It was on Doula Mentor TV. We did a show, and she talked about this birth that she was at when she was a photographer. And the dad, she said, was really great. He was awesome through the whole birth, very present for his wife. And then right when the baby started to crown, he backed away and did this when the baby was being born, completely unaware that he was doing it, right? So the next day, she's at the house, and his mom was there making coffee, and she asked him about it. She asked him about, like, you know, how were you born? She didn't say, like, why did you do that weird thing? She's, how were you born? And he's like, I don't know. And the mom said, oh, well, that was a heck of a birth, right? She starts going into the birth story, and she's like, and then they had to just pull you out with the forceps, and you had a big bruise on your ear and your head right here for the longest time. And he had no recollection of this birth, but he had muscle memory, boom, full on, very scared, holding his ears, very like, wow, that stuff can get in the way, hinder births, all kinds of stuff if we don't know that ahead of time. It's none of my business to know, but I want them to know. I want them to start that journey of figuring things out, so that when we get to that special time, it's not in the way then. They can figure those things out earlier for themselves. And if they want to talk about it, that's great. But I'll ask him, you know, do you know how you were born? I'm not touching him. He's being touched by Susan at this point. And he'll be like, oh yeah, I blah, 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 blah. He can tell me that story in that place. Do you know what I mean? Right? Or if he shares with me that he's fearful of birth, it usually comes out here at this time. So there's so much stuff happening with just this one thing. Like if this is all you knew, this is awesome, right? This tool can get you so far, and it helps not just in the trusting, but all of it works together.
All the energy.
Yeah, all of it right here, right? So and then I have him do it, and he gets to feel it, and we're done. And then because once he has it done, I can say, so can you guys do this a couple of times a week for me? They're like, oh, we want to do it all the time. Awesome, good. And that's what I hear a lot, that my clients actually do it. And that's why I gift them a Rebozo.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
I give them a Rebozo at that meeting. When I come in the door, I give it to him, right?
Okay.
And usually, if I can, I'll bring all the Rebozos I have. Okay? So if it's only 2 or 3 or whatever, because I want them to choose one. If I can give them a choice, it's even better because it's more special, right? Before, I was lending them my Rebozo, right? And they wouldn't use it. I'm like, are you guys practicing with it? Not really, you know. It's kind of like a library book, right? You get a library book and you kind of like toss it on the table or whatever. That same book, if you had to go out and pay $50 for, those big old books, and it's yours, you don't just throw it anywhere. You take care of it, right? It's special. It's yours. Yeah. So this way, I give them a Rebozo, right? You can put the price of the Rebozo into your fees, right? Cover it. Here's the gift that you paid for. But you give it to them. And if they get to pick, it's even better, right? Because I want that one. And then they've had a part in it, right? Now it's super special to them because they picked it. And then it's in their house. And it smells like their house. So if we're using it at the hospital, right? And we want to cover her up with something, we want to make her feel comfortable, home, right? That's another great thing about it too. But if you give it to them, you know that they're going to be using it a lot more than if you just lent it to them. All right? Okay, so how do you feel?
So good.
It's awesome. It feels so good.
How long do you keep her in that position and
As long as she's comfortable in it. Okay, so let's talk about realities here. I'll give you an example, one of my clients. So Mario calls me at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? I love how we're like firemen, we just pop right up. If my kids, I don't have like a birth coming up or anything, my kids try to wake me up at 4 in the morning, it's not happening, right? But when you have a client, you're just like, hello. He calls me at 4 and he said, Gena, Sheila is in birth. In labor? He's like, yes, labor. He's like very, you can tell he's very excited about this. I'm like, okay, so where are you guys in the house? Like, what's going on? Talk to me about what's happening. It's like, I made a fire in the fireplace in the living room. He's so cute. I love this guy. It's fantastic, awesome. And he's like, what do I do now? I go, because I told him, you need it to be a relaxing environment. So he's doing everything that you tell him to do. I love those guys. So I said, have you done the car wash? By the way, that's not the Mexican term for it. One of my clients called it the car wash. It's like the car wash when you get your car washed. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So I come up with all these crazy names for the moves so that they remember them. Okay, so have you done the car? If you give them all these Spanish names, they're not going to remember anything. Have you done the car wash yet? And he seemed kind of like bummed out. He's like, yeah. Like he wanted something more important to do, right? Like something more.
you're calling this?
Yeah, this is the car wash, right? So have you done the car wash? And he goes, we do it all the time. Like, yeah, I've done it. And I said, well, do it right now. And he goes, oh, okay. Like, what a bummer. And he goes, really? I go, yeah, do it right now, but do it for an hour. Do all of it for an hour and call me back, right? Because I had lots of time. I asked him, how far apart are her surges, right? Okay, because they're my hypnobirthers. And he goes, oh, like an hour. So I'm like, I can go back to sleep now. So I gave him something to do though. Do the car wash, call me back in an hour. So sure enough, phone rings at 5 o'clock in the morning. Don't you love those guys? They're the ones that just do whatever you want, you tell them to do. My husband thinks that I'm a doula just so that I can have a man in my life every once in a while to just do whatever I tell him to do. It's just semi-true. So he calls me back at 5 and I said, so what's going on with her? And he goes, oh, she's asleep. Right? Of course she is. It's super early labor. And I said, so how do you feel? And he goes, I feel good. I said, great. And I said, why don't you just curl up behind her and call me back when something changes? He goes, okay. And that was it. I mean, how do you think he felt?
Accomplished. I would think felt like he was successful.
Yeah.
And felt good that he could help her.
Right? Did anybody here ever listen to gangster rap? I don't know if I'm in gangster rap country. Well, in gangster rap speak, he put her ass to sleep. Okay. And that's street cred, my friend. Okay. That was so good. He put her ass to sleep. Okay. So that's what's happening here.
He also is getting chemicals released, right?
Yes.
Besides touching.
He's gonna relax too. Like he called me all excited, but if he's doing this the right way, he's paying attention to her breathing. He's matching her breathing. If she's not breathing, then he's going to remind her, right? So yeah, he's having that same chemical reaction. He's getting the oxytocin from her. They have that heart knowledge between the two of them, right? So he's gonna come down too and appreciate that. And they're both in that birthing time together by doing this. And did I have to drive across town?
Do you understand like all of the things that are happening here? I mean, how many things are happening here? And you've empowered that guy, that partner. You've empowered that person to be like, we don't need you yet. So I don't want to be at the birth early, and it's not because I'm lazy. It's because I understand the more that I'm there or not, the more I'm observing, the more I'm slowing things down. I don't want to show up until we got some kind of fluid going on, whether it's a lot of sweat or some show. I want some kind of fluid coming out of you before I show up, right? Because at that point, we can't stop it, right? I don't want to show up if a warm bath and a glass of wine is going to make stuff stop, okay? I want to get there when things are already, when that train has lost its brakes, and like it's going to happen whether I'm there or not, okay? That's when I want to get there. But I used to get there early because the partner was at a loss and couldn't help her. But with all of these things that I share with the couple, that partner is like, he's already like a certified. By the time I leave, he's got an entire bag of tricks, right? They're not really tricks. He's got a bag of confidence. And that's the most important thing. Where he's like, yeah, I got this, right? Because I used to like it when I'd show up at the door and the partner would be like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. Right. I used to, when I was a younger doula, my ego really enjoyed being that, showing up on my white horse and saving the day. Really. I did. I enjoyed that. I thought that was great. It made me feel good. Right? We're here to help. That's why we get into this business. But it took me a long time to figure out that I probably should not be anywhere near the star of the show. Because I'm not. It's not my show. It's not my baby. It's not my birth. It's not my body. I've been honored enough to be asked to be a witness to this. And I need to be more of a witness. I've learned that. It's taken me a long time. But That's
so
really
Reborso
awesome.
allows me to do that.
Great to get a man, involved and intimate. Because sometimes they don't want to be intimate from other people.
And it needs to be intimate. It needs to be like when you're making love. And I don't invite people to the house to watch us do that. Right. We're not that couple. And most of us aren't. Yeah, and if you did make sex tape, you're not like sharing it with everybody. So at least not on purpose. Right? So if it needs to be like making love, then I don't need to be all up in it. I need to be as far away out of their minds at least as possible. And the Rebozo allows me to do that. So I was looking for sitting on that where it is, at some point I'm going to be seeing a lot of stuff. It's not really we might not do it. Darn thing that we didn't think at all. I might just use one thing out of everything, but I want you to see what it looks like ahead of time. So I'm not surprising you with throws of flavor. Okay. So I can say, hey, the car wash, let's try that right now. So put more freeze. Okay. I want you to pick somebody to be, you all need to do the different roles. Somebody needs to be the partner. Somebody needs to be the boss. Many times I've had it done to me, I was pregnant when I did this class in Toronto. And one of the doulas was like, well, who's doing you? I'm like, oh, me? And she's like, I need a partner. I said, okay. So I laid down and she did it for me. And when she was massaging me, I'm really pregnant. And she did the Rebozo over my belly. And I was like, oh, like getting in touch with the baby. Because I've been working and not really thinking about my own baby. I'm talking about other babies and babies in general. And she did that. And she said, went over my belly and she said, this is time for you. Something about like she gave me like permission to be vulnerable, and like I instantly was, and then I just started crying. And she just did like so many beautiful. I wanted her to be my doula. Like, you're awesome. I was like crying, and it was just, and I felt safe, and I forgot about the whole room and everybody was watching us. I didn't even realize that everybody else was done and we weren't done yet. I'm crying. But yeah, it is surprisingly wow, like how that works. And that's why it's so important that the partner get to experience it, because otherwise they won't treat it with any kind of reverence, and they probably won't do it. They won't practice it because they don't know how awesome it is. And shockingly so. I like that you said it was disarming. Practice all of the comfort stuff on your family. This is a great way to tuck in your kids at night and to be mindful about what's going on with them. And this is so good because it does get a mama out of her head. Okay, so you can do this, and that's what my next question, early labor. What other times can you see yourself doing this? Yeah, after she's been poked and prodded and went through triage and blah, 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 and no, I don't want an IV and all this stuff. And then finally everybody leaves and we wonder why her labor pattern is slowed down, right? With all these new smells and being poked and looked at. Yeah, she's half naked now and just feeling really vulnerable. How do we get her back to good? How do we get her back to that good place? Right here. This will help a lot. And it smells like home. So that's another big factor too. It's just that smell at the hospital. What's another time you could use it? Postpartum. I like going to that postpartum meeting with them, and mom's laying down in bed, maybe laying down nursing baby. And I'm doing that to her. We're talking about, I'm giving her the time. We're not talking. I'm listening to her tell me about what's going on, and I'll ask the dad, you know, what are your memories of the birth? We can process it all together. Doing something that they've seen before. Super relaxing. It's just anytime you're just having a bad day, I like using it. You can use it on your kids too. It's so good.
Can you hear me? Okay. Woof. I do need to make a new video. I need to change some language in there. There's a bunch of stuff in there. It's just one modality that I shared, which Gena Giordano called the car wash, and I kept that name just because of the fabric going over you. But there's a lot of stuff going on there. And it's just one thing. And I think I cover 12 or maybe 14 things in the whole workshop. But this is the most important one to me. Please ask me some questions about this, because there's a lot of stuff going on in here. Like a lot of stuff happening. Has anybody ever seen this before who hasn't taken my class? Or used this before who hasn't taken my class? No? You can go like this, or you can go like this. You can go like this. I'm asking because the part that I lament the most about having to do this over Zoom is that we all can't just break out right now and have this done to us.
Joining us, welcome to the Progressive Parenting Hangout.
Oh, excuse
Today
me.
we're
What's
talking
going
to
on?
Sheila Pye.
You went into another video of mine on Vimeo on accident.
We're up to a lot of really great things. And
Oh,
we
okay.
are
Need to do a quick
bringing
thing
together
here.
wonderful authors, speakers,
Okay.
experts on.
Oh, look, it's me.
And what I love the most
You're
about
just
the
so
network is that the
famous.
network is built to
I think
praise each other.
pause will work.
And I'm really excited about that whole idea. And I'm hoping.
Yes.
It's time for a new haircut. I've been rocking this look for a long time, apparently. So back to the car wash. I'm not kidding. In the video, I said use it on your kids. I 100% highly recommend using everything that I share about the Reborso on your children. I have an ebook. It's called Rebozo Mi Mommy, and it's just all the different ways that you can share it with your kids. And that was all shared with me by my students who shared it with their kids before I ever even thought to do it. And a lot of, I have a daughter with Down syndrome, and a lot of my students who did use it and had really great success with it had children with special needs, and were like, this is a godsend. This is amazing. And that's one of my favorite things about it. And one of the testaments, I think, to how well it works. For the people who have been in my workshop, who have gotten a chance to lay down and have somebody else drape the Reborso over your head and be touched underneath it. It's beautiful. And I was sharing a story about how it was done to me. And in every workshop, I tend to forget to ask people to do it to me, but in the workshops where they do that to me, I'm reminded of how beautiful it feels. I have a photo I'd like to share with you guys. So I just had a good friend of mine just found out she was pregnant a year ago, and they asked me to be her doula, which was very, very, very special to me. And I had them come to my house for 6 visits. That's how I do it. I do 6 prenatals. It's the only way because I teach childbirth education to my clients. And you get to really know your clients that way if you have the time and the ability to do it. They're my friends, so that was a privilege in that they didn't mind coming to my house and dealing with my mess. And these two, it's a friend of mine, her partner and her are no longer together in a relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend, but he made the commitment to be there for her during her pregnancy and the birth of the baby. And they did this exercise, this car wash in my living room. And they both texted me separately and thanked me for sharing this, because it really reminded them about how they got to that place in the first place. And the biggest revelation for them was when, after I showed them how to use it, I said, now do it to him. And then he laid down, and the second she touched him, he was like, oh, it's been a while. And the immediate intimacy of it, and the safety of it too, because she told me later that she wasn't prepared for the intimacy of that, of being touched by him again, but somehow it felt safe because the Rebozo was covering her. Does that make sense? Where it's like getting a massage, right? Like you have a sheet over you. If you're going to take off all your clothes and have somebody touch you and there's no sheet there, then that's like a relationship status kind of thing. So having that sheet or that the covering makes it so much easier and safer and easier to get to that intimacy faster, I feel, which is hard because not all of us have the ability to meet with our clients that many times. And I've met with clients as a doula in Albuquerque when I was working with a birth center, where I never got to hang out with the client ever, where the first time I met them was in the hospital giving birth. And the Rebozo really lends itself to like a really quick ability to achieve that intimacy.
In this practice, we do the 6 visits also and do childbirth ed. But because of COVID, all of those sessions are online except for one, the coping techniques class, where we come and bring in Rebozo and play with the clients. And I just wanted to echo that really does help us make friends and play and really feel like we're all on the same team for its baby time.
Yeah, I like that you said play too, because if you see a couple, and again, it doesn't have to be a couple, grandma, grandpa, anybody, just whoever whoever the birthing person is close to, and they are in close proximity to each other, and then they start doing this, then they start laughing, and they're because it's weird. I'm not. It's totally weird. It's weird looking, but you'd be so surprised. Your clients hired you because they know that you're the expert, and you could show them anything, and they're going to be like, okay, because they're afraid, they're scared. This is new, and if you come into the experience with this and don't share this unless somebody's done this to you, have your best friend do this with you later. Like, do this at home. And once you do it, you're going to believe in it yourself. And then you're going to be a better salesperson about it. But they already trust you and they love you. You could show them anything. You could tell them hanging from the chandelier is going to help them give birth better, and they will believe you. So if you believe in this and you have it done to you and you share it with them, they're going to practice it. And the more that they do this, that this is something that they do every night. I tell my clients, do this all the time, every single night. And they will do it. So when this gets pulled out in the hospital or this gets pulled out in early labor, your clients are going to be way more apt to use it because it's familiar, if that makes sense. I need more feedback. I'm also looking for this photo to send to you guys. There has to be some questions, because I thought of a bunch of them while I was watching this. So what were some of the things that came up for you while you were watching this play out? Jesse, save me. I'm
Say
floundering.
that again, Gena.
I said, save me. Were there any questions? I said, I'm floundering because I don't have any eye contact.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
It was are there any questions that you wouldn't ask when you're doing the car wash Rebozo? Like, is there anything that you feel like should be asked face to face and at a table, something that's like maybe triggering? Or
Well, that's the hard thing, right? If was anybody here like DONA trained? They have like a list of questions to ask a client. I only ask questions like, have you been pregnant before? Because this is something I want to know now, and I don't want this to come up during labor. There's some questions that are really hard. I think a lot of things can be triggering for people, and you don't know what they are. Hopefully when they hired you, they felt safe with you, that you can talk to them and hopefully bring up things in a way that isn't going to upset people. I don't know. I always tell clients not to hire me unless they feel safe with me. I'm super famous for just giving clients to somebody else if I don't feel like we're a good match. It's so important. So for me, I'm not going to ask them questions that don't pertain to pregnancy. We're not going to get into politics.
all right, for instance, like, so if you say, have you been pregnant before? And let's say they have been through, they've had an abortion, it was a traumatic experience for them. And this is while you're doing a calming thing with them.
I can't think of a better time to ask that question. Because before those kinds of questions, I was asking at the table over coffee. And I'm looking in their face. I don't really know this person. And the difference with having them laying down and not looking you in the face, the things that they're going to say to you come out so much easier than having to look me in the eye and say the things. I've done this with, so when I have the people switch places, this was in Albuquerque, I had a midwife hire me, and this was like their 7th kid, I think. And it was her partner that was laying down, and she was doing it to him, and his eyes were closed. And I said, what was your favorite part of the last, births that you attended with your partner? And he goes, oh, I love this and that. And his eyes were closed. He's not looking at me, and he's being touched. And he said, I just wish I could have caught the baby or any of the babies. And she's looking at me like, while she's massaging him, she's like, and I'm looking at her like, talk to him. And his eyes are closed. And she just was like, do you want to catch this baby? And he's, yeah, I really do. And he starts crying, and she's crying. It's just a safe place to communicate, I feel. I think it would be a lot more uncomfortable to ask those questions sitting on a couch face to face with somebody you don't really know. And people really just kind of give up a lot of information. Have you had that experience, Samsara? Is that,
I mean,
for you?
I've done both ways. I've done, we do in this
I would tell you anything on a couch.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. I mean, there is a trust that my clients have with me. We use the intake from actually Elizabeth Davis's Heart and Hands. And so, the deal, and I let them know they do not have to answer any question if they don't want to. But as much as they share with me, that helps me to be supportive to them. I have never had a client refuse a question, even hard ones, and whether Rebozo or not, so it's about feeling that you're not asking. It's an issue that I've seen like students have, like, oh, these are such personal questions, but the OB asks them and he's not even paying attention. Not even caring, right? Yeah. And you care. And definitely, I've shared tears with clients, and we're talking about miscarriages. We're talking about, previous pregnancies and traumas and abusive ex-husbands. Things come up. So we want to be available to hear and care. And people are generally very receptive to people who are hearing and caring,
Yeah, that's beautiful. There's just so much that comes out for people too when we do the car wash. It's just the immediacy of intimacy is always so surprising to me, especially in the workshops too with other doulas. You just see lots of tears, or people are just sharing stuff that you wouldn't expect them to share with somebody they just met. But there's something about that, like the being tucked in kind of feeling, and, having the Rebozo over your head a little bit and just being able to see out enough where you just feel very safe. I can't explain it to you without you experiencing it yourself.
It's an oxytocin fueled process, like all of birth and birth care. As you were saying repeatedly in the video, which I really appreciated, like, people feeling safe. When you feel safe, you are safe to reveal.
Yeah. And it's so hard to get to that as a doula. I mean, for me in the beginning, I didn't know anything about the Reborso, and trying to get to that space right away with your clients is so hard. Because they need it, but you're a stranger. And it can be really hard for them to let go and be vulnerable like that. And that's a thing that a lot of people don't want to hear. I've gotten a lot of flack for it in the past, and I will again in the future. When I see doulas posting about interventions, I'm like, you're the first intervention. You're the person who's staring at the pot waiting for it to boil. You weren't there when the baby was made. So you're the first intervention. You are, whether you are happy to hear that or not. Quantum physics, we understand from quantum physics that an object that is being observed will not behave the way that it would if it wasn't. So you're the first intervention. And we need to, by any means possible, try to achieve that intimacy as quickly as possible so that we aren't the stranger anymore. And try to attain that trust as soon as possible. And like Samsara said too, with a doctor will ask these triggering questions and not maybe have that same investment of emotion that you do in the answer. And that's why they hired you. That's what they want. They want somebody to go to the deep end of the pool with them. They want someone to do the hard things. And anything that I can share with you to help you reach that level of intimacy as fast as possible, I want to. And that's what the Reborso does. And every time you're sharing it with your client, every time you're using it, you're creating that trust where this is like a part of you. I say that it's an extension of me. It's an extension of my arms. It's an extension of my love for my client. And it's an extension of their love for each other. And it becomes, after a certain point of you using it, you understand that it's a conduit of energy between people, where this is where you understand that it is not just a piece of fabric anymore. And we're just talking about one thing right now. This is just one way to use the Rebozo. But for me, this is the most important, because if we can get that person, that birthing person, out of this part of themselves and into their heart, into their soul, into their being, and not into a thinking person, because that's not where birth happens. There's no thinking involved. It's just a knowing. So if you can help them to get to there, that's 90% of your job, really, outside of, holding a puke bucket and wiping butts and staring in the eyes. The biggest part is just getting them to not be using that neocortex and to be protecting that space. That's everything. And if this is the only thing I shared with you ever and just walked away, I'd feel really good about myself, because this is a really important thing. And you don't know until you start using it. And that's why I know Samsara is I guess one of the bigger testimonials for me, because she's used it so many different times. And you see what it does for people. And again, this same-sex couples, opposite-sex couples, this is their grandma, their uncle, brother, I don't care. Whoever they've invited into this space, whoever's lucky enough to be invited. And what if it's just you and the birthing person? This helps so much. It doesn't matter who's involved, as long as you understand that whoever that other person is that they've invited into the space, that you treat with the same amount of respect and equanimity, then you're good. Because you need to leave that relationship better than you found it, whoever it is. Because that's how we change birth in our communities. Is there any other questions? Because that was a lot of stuff that I shared. Especially the story about Miguel calling me when his wife was in labor, because I asked him, how do you feel, after he told me that he got her to go to sleep? And he said, I got this. Those are the 3 words I want to hear from the client's partner. I got this. Just having that partner feel really empowered. And that saves me from coming over and waiting for that pot to boil. That's going to allow them more alone time, because that's what we want. Not just because I'm a lazy doula, but because I understand that they're going to do better alone without me.
It's good and care.
Thank you.
How long labor is going to be. We want to be there when we're really needed, and really, really early labor, we're really not needed.
No, that's when we're really the intervention. We're not helping that process along by showing up too early. But, you kind of have to sometimes when whoever that partner is doesn't feel knowledgeable, doesn't feel empowered, doesn't know what to do. I mean, it was funny because Miguel did say, I got this, but immediately after that said, now what? I'm like, okay, well, just spoon up behind your partner and, you know, keep doing this. And when it doesn't work anymore, call me later. They didn't call me until like, it was in the morning. They were in labor 5 a.m. I didn't go to the birth until like 10 o'clock at night. So that's a lot of cooking that happened between the two of them, a lot of memories that of just the two of them that they're going to remember. I don't want somebody to tell me they couldn't have done it without me. I don't want to hear that. Because I know they could. Oh, thanks, Nina Love. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Thank you. See, that's the kind of feedback I need. Thank you, guys. I'm a person. I need to hear that, because otherwise I feel like Seth Meyers has probably felt this whole time during COVID with no audience. Or more like Stephen Colbert. He was so miserable without an audience. That's how I feel. If I don't hear any laughing, I'm like, oh man. All right. Any other questions about the car wash? Yeah, Kathleen.
Not a question, but just I don't know,
Share your story. Yeah.
Testimonial to I'm using the Reborso, but the car wash in particular, that it really does like diffuse tension and bring intimacy. And you shared in the video, and something that's really stuck with me is saying hi to the baby, like recognizing the baby, and that maybe that's the first time that day, maybe it's the first time that week, maybe it's the first time that pregnancy, and just really witnessing how that acknowledgement shifts things with the partner. And then when it's the partner's turn, you know, you see them acknowledge, oh yeah, say hi to the baby. And then they, you know, maybe the partner leans over and gives a kiss to the belly, and that they're, you know, making it their own in this intimate, it's a very intimate, very safe and very intimate. And I love sharing that with families, and love giving it as homework. And the families love receiving that. So thank you.
And they do it. Yeah, that's the best part. You tell them to do it, they're going to do it. Yeah, it's like I said in the video that my ex said that he thought I was only a doula just so I could get a guy every once in a while to do whatever I say without questioning. But yeah, that intimacy and them making it their own is such a big deal. I think it's everything. And again, it doesn't have to be a couple. It does, whoever that is. I've seen grandmas, I've seen same-sex couples, everybody gets it. Everybody. I had one of my clients, her daughter was going to be her partner. And that was really a big thing for both of them. The daughter laid down to have it done to her and just burst into tears. She's like, I don't remember the last time you've touched me. And they had like a really major conversation where like I left the room for a little bit, let them talk. But it was a really big thing for them. And when you do have the partner do it, you know, if they're like my ex, he's just going to think of a million ways to do it better than the doula showed them. But they own it. And that's the most important thing, is if you can get those two to practice, then when birth rolls around, it's really going to happen. How much time do we have?
We have a half hour left.
Okay, let's see if I can send you another one. Hold on, there's the first visit.
Can I just say thank you for facilitating a training that incorporates partner support. I think most of the trainings and presentations that people do in birth are all focused around so much around the birthing person, but never any mention at all, just a mention of the other person in the room, whoever that is. And you, I think you even said uncle, brother, whatever. So I just wanted to thank you for bringing light to that.
Oh, yeah, I've gotten a lot of flack for that over the years, giving attention to the partner, because
you're a troublemaker.
yeah. In fact, one of the things I was going to share with you guys was from my on my Instagram. I save all of these pictures on Instagram that I find of partners, moms, dads, grandmas, same-sex partners, dads, and it's don't forget the partner is what I always say. And the original name of the Rebozo workshop for years was called Make the Partner Do It. The Lazy Doula's Guide to an Easier Birth is going to be the name of my book. But because I'm not going to be there forever, and I'm not the star of the show, the partner's really important to me. I've had, have you ever heard of Patrick Hauser? Anybody here? Show of hands. So Patrick Hauser, I gave away the last book of his. I'm always giving away books. These are all my birth books. But Patrick wrote a book called The Fathers to Be Hand Guide. Like in the 80s, I want to say. Him and his wife had the first, documented water birth in Texas, or I think in the United States, in the early 80s. And anyways, he was trying to find information about becoming a dad and couldn't find anything, and ended up writing a book about it.
What's the name of the book?
And it's called The Fathers to Be Hand Guide. And it's, if I have a straight couple, that I'll give the dad that book. And if I have a same-sex couple, I'll give them Penny Simpkins, the partner, what's it called? The Partner's Guide, I think. The Birth Partner. But as it is here in Texas, like 98% of my clients are, mom and dad. So I'll give the dad that book. But I've had him come to my doula trainings and talk to doulas about what the experience is like for the father, if that's who their client is, if the person identifies as the dad. And I've had one of our retreats, I had like at least 5 doulas go outside after this thing that we did with him and call their partner and apologize for not getting what it might have been like to go through that. The partner is generally persona non grata, right? Like they'll go into, again, grandma, grandpa, sister, brother, whoever. They'll go into the doctor's meeting with the mom, and the doctor doesn't say, hey, how are you doing? How have you been feeling? What are your feelings about, your partner? Their body's changing. How do you feel about that? Like nobody's talking to them. They don't get to have that experience. And God forbid they come home after work and their back hurts or their legs hurt or something. Then, generally the pregnant person is like, I don't want to hear that. So they're not getting a lot of love throughout this pregnancy. They're not being seen and heard and listened to. And that's a shame, because again, when I leave, they're going to be there for each other. Sister, brother, grandma, same-sex partner, it doesn't matter. Whoever that person is, they need to be seen and held. And it just bums me out that the partner is not more important.
So important, because one of the horrible side effects of patriarchy is that men don't have their men's community. Because in indigenous cultures, if there's a baby coming, the men are loving the men in a particular way. So the men are getting that. But in this culture, the man is kind of like being forced to glom off of his partner's experience.
Yeah. I mean, they're not even a part of the shower.
Yeah, no.
And they're going to tell their partner, Fred, me and Gena are having a baby. Fred's not going to be like, oh my God. It's not going to have that experience. It's generally just going to get an uncle. Cool. And the same thing for like same-sex partners too, because they're not being celebrated in any way. The partner's not being celebrated, just the person who's pregnant and giving birth. And that's a bummer. That's where, again, the patriarchy doesn't help with the nurturing of these two.
Exactly.
And that's where isolation begins.
Barely nurtures the pregnant person. So
Yeah, not even. Oh, don't get me started on postpartum. Okay, and I'm sorry, this is just one thing. So let me share another video with you quickly, Gena. Let's get into some of the comfort techniques. So Samsara, how am I going to do this? Because my workshop's like 6 hours.
well, that's why we had 2 sessions.
I mean, a live workshop is 6 hours. I'm sorry. Will I be able to share the videos? Like if I got everybody's email, can I make sure to just send all of them? And if they want to watch them, they can. And then when we come back, we can, I mean, I'll still keep doing it, but I want to make sure they have access to everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
You know, if you send me you send me all of the links to all the videos, and I can make a Google Doc and share it with everybody.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, let's get into some comfort techniques. I'm going to share this with you really quickly. Where's the link? Share link. Excuse me. I ate really quickly before we started. Okay, share Samsara Morgan. Link, boom. Okay, now we're going to get into some comfort techniques. Please, 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 you guys. This is a lot of information to take in. So like when you sleep on it tonight or you wake up later this week or whatever, write down all your questions. I want to make sure I answer them for you. If you friend me on Instagram, you can just ask me in a DM or whatever. I'm not famous or anything, so I got free time. People are always surprised when I answer my own phone. I'm like, who do you think's answering my phone? Besides my kids.
It's silly, of course.
Any other questions? I'm more infamous than famous. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's like it's late at night and folks get tired, but this is the time to ask the question.
I'm right here. I'm still looking for that photo of my friends at my house. When was this?
Okay, is everybody seeing the screen?
Yes. Excellent.
Do that.
Yeah, the music's all janky. Is that a bad word?
Sorry, folks, that's me.
Comfort measures that we can do. All right, so Mama is come this way and turn in. All right, she's been complaining of round ligament pains, okay, which can happen from week 5 to 43 weeks in, right, at any time. So round ligament pain, we can give her some relief here, okay. I'm gonna need a longer Rebozo for this. So this is a okay. Actually, it's a little too heavy for this. This is perfect. Okay. So what we can do for her and her partner, I show her partner how to do this with her because I want to try to, that's what I'm looking for, integrate the partner as much as possible, right? Whenever I can, I want her to feel useful. I want him to feel capable, right? And I want him close to her during the labor. The proximity is going to help so much. I always say I like to get their junk as close as I can together. So I'll show you. We're gonna get a lot of proximity and a lot of junk touching. So I hope you know what you're in for. Okay. Have you been warned? Are we still okay? Do I need any volunteer? All right. All right. Okay. All right. I know you, Gena Kirby. Okay. So here's what right. Here's what we're gonna do. I said somebody was right. Somebody's gonna get spanked today, and you know it. Okay. It's true. Okay, so you want to make sure that you get it underneath her here. Okay, and just make sure I did that. It doesn't really matter what's going on up here. Okay, what matters is supporting her. Okay, Now, would you turn around for me, darling? So what I would do, what's your partner's name? Chuck. So I'm like, okay, Chuck, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take the Rebozo on your hands a little bit more. You turn the light on right on his face. He's all, what? You're gonna take the Rebozo in your hands here, Chuck, like this, and you're just gonna pull up until she goes, right? And you can usually tell you're doing it right because she gets a big grin on her face, right? And this is nice because Chuck's close to her, especially if they're in labor. I like to encourage them to be like this, deep junk proximity, right? Okay. And he's pulling up and he's feeling pretty good about himself. Now, the thing about this is most of the time, though, the partner won't do it as hard or as high as mom likes it. And maybe sometimes there is no partner or the partner's at work, okay? He's not home. So what we can do is we can have mom take care of herself, which is nice. So she can do it whenever she wants. So you already knew it was it. And you can do it to yourself. Don't give the O face to the wall. It's a waste of a perfectly good O face. Yeah, it's nice for mom. And this is so great because this is the Rebozo as your personal assistant that you leave at the house with them, right? Because you can't be there all the time to provide comfort during pregnancy, right? Or at all, or early labor. This is really great for her. It just feels good. And she knows what feels good. I'm very hesitant to do that too, a mom, right? Because I don't know what's going on. She knows what's happening. She's in tune with her baby. She's not going to hurt anything by doing this. I had an anterior placenta. People always freaked out about that. I use this a lot during my pregnancy to feel good. I didn't get to use it in early labor. I just went really, really fast. But yeah, good stuff. Repeatable. Awesome. Moving on. Okay. So he greeted me at the hospital. She was induced. And I got to the hospital when they were ready. And he had his Rebozo. He had a 9-footer on. He's really tall. He had it on like this. When I opened the door and I walked in and he said, "We've been expecting you." But they had it, like they were ready. They were good to go. And I love that.
Very influenced.
Oh, yes.
With baby, it's just, pumped up. So pendulous.
Uh-huh. We got, I had a midwife write to me on Facebook during a birth who asked me about that. They were having a hard time and she's like, what are some things that we can do? And it was Craig that came up with the idea to do 2 different techniques with the Rebozo. And one of them was this while doing something else, which we'll get to. Please remind me about that, to get that baby up and on the cervix, because she was lifting it, but it wasn't enough. Like the contractions weren't lasting long enough. So like, what else can we do? And there's something else that we can show you. So that's another Lego thing where you can put different things together that makes sense. But we just have to grasp the basics first, and then you can go from there. Okay.
I wanted to share too, when I share this with my moms, they are very excited to see this because it empowers them to take care of themselves. Right? They're always like, oh, I can do that. That's very exciting.
She doesn't, as much as you were saying, it's nice to bring the partner in and make him feel like he's participating when he's not there, or if she doesn't want to always be asking him, hey, hon, can you come do this for me? She can do it all by herself, which is so great. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Next. All right. So I need another. Right? Yeah, absolutely. So I need another volunteer. Just some simple things where you're like, oh, duh, right? Rebozo here for, let's say she's having some back pain, okay? And she is all alone. She's really tiny. Okay. All right. So we can, let me see. What do I have here? I'll just use this. She can take a hot water bottle, a hot pack, hot sock, rice sock, right? Or ice if she wanted to. And just put that pack back here. And she's set. Just turn around. It's no big deal. It looks like you have a tail, a little bunny tail. But you know what I'm talking about? Like a heat pack or anything right here. And she doesn't have to hold it herself. Or she can get up and move with it on and go about your business and do what you need to do while she has that right here. Just another thing where it's Rebozo as assistant. As the doula, you leave it at her house.
Is that her lower back pain?
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing too, let's say she's having sciatic pain, right? When your butt hurts, like somewhere down here. So let's say you're hurting down here. We can move it down a little bit. She can do this to herself. Then you take the ball and you put it where you're hurting. Okay, so what I want you to do, Holly, I'm gonna ask you to move for 1 second. I want you to go over to where Holly's at, and you're gonna stand against the wall like this. Put those balls on the wall. Balls to the wall, like this. Okay, that feels good without the balls, so do it with them. Just roll back and forth on it, out wherever you need it. That's great. How's that feel? That's real nice. Yeah, and if it's not hard enough, like you want more, you can put them a little bit lower and sit on the ground, or sit on a bench, sit on something hard, and really get that, work it in there. Yeah, that's good. That's told me to do it for mine, except it's on the ball. And you just work it on your, oh, that feels so good. You showed me how to do it on an airplane too, like, because I'm sitting down for a long time. So I'm the weirdo, like that on the airplane. Like, oh yeah. Well, I'm never gonna see you again, huh? Oh yeah. That's right. Feels good. Yeah. I know. I was like, okay, I gotta do the other side now. Because that felt so good. Okay. So, anyways, you can keep the Rebozo. The Rebozo keeps the balls from falling down, and you can do it up against the wall. Just a simple no-brainer. Like, oh, why didn't I think of that? I know somebody said, oh, look what they found something. It was like a rice sock that had like 2 handles on it, or like somebody had sewn something and then they tied it in the front. And I was like, you just use your Reborso for that. Oh. Okay, so I should make a t-shirt that says that. You can use your Reborso for that. Like there's an app for that. Don't move yet. Okay, let's see. 1, 2. All right, can I get you on your hands and knees? Yep. All right, so we get mom on hands and knees. All right. Now you got it like this. And then, right? Is that the worst? No. The worst thing though is I've told this partner of hers, I won't take your place, right? Then we get here and I'm like, come over here, come do this, I'm gonna show you. And then he's over here and she's like, no, that's not it. I want Gena to do it. Oh no. Yeah. That's the worst because I lied to him, right? Betrayal, like, she wants me over you, like, that sucks. I don't want that. Okay, so if I can, I want to avoid it. All right. So here's how we avoid it. Go ahead, you can stand up. I'm gonna show them this standing up so they can see it better. All right, so take the Rebozo, and it's not gonna be that intricate. It's okay, girl. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just trying to remember where I did that on you. It's right here underneath these, right there. Okay, so you face everybody, put your arms down. It's cool. Turn around. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tie it in a knot right here. Okay, and I'm gonna pull until it feels good. You look at everybody. You tell them it feels good, right? That's good. Does that feel good? Okay, look how much energy I'm exerting. Okay. Do you think he can do this? Yeah. Do I want him to do it? If he's right here, okay, right? I got my junk next to close to her, junk close enough, right? He's right here. Oh, here. Let's do this then. Why don't you tie it in the back? How's that? Oh, that's good. Yeah. How you doing? Better now. There we go. Feels good. Not a lot of work, and he's right here, right? We're touching. We're close. Proximity. Okay. That's right. If he can tie it off in a nice tight knot, then he can still be here with her, right? Or with her. Right? Okay. Don't move. Don't move. All right. So let's say though that Carrie is 6'2" and 300 something pounds. It's hard to tie a knot and keep it taut, okay? Or even to twist it, because you can also twist it. So what I'm going to show you what to do, this is where the spoon comes in. All right, this is not the spanking part yet, okay? It could be, but you're going to have to pay me more. All right, so turn around. I'm going to show everybody what to do here. If you were the client and you don't have a partner to help you get this tight, then like her partner, then you can take a spoon. I usually carry a wooden spoon with me in my bag. You make, yeah, because you need it sometimes. I'll show you. It's leverage. You make this knot here, okay, and then you make another knot. It's not complicated, okay? So you see this little space here? Okay, looks like I'm gonna do a magic trick. Okay. Then you put your spoon in here. You tie that there, and then you just do this. You're saving your hands and your back. How's that feel?
Good. Yeah.
Can I keep going?
Yeah.
More? Right there?
Right on.
She could do it on the side in a knot by herself if she wanted to at home. Right?
Yeah. That's great.
Okay. All right. Go. Take that out. All right. So if you do have a partner, though, I always want to see if I can bring that partner in. Can you be the partner, Linda? Okay. We just grab this side here. And I'm going to grab this side, and we can pull ourselves. She can be on hands and knees too. Right? Does that feel more good?
Yeah.
Okay. So the partner, okay, I want proximity, yeah? Okay, so partner, you're gonna come in, put your hands right here, like that. It doesn't really matter. I just want him closer to her, right? And I go disappear over here, right? Because I'm affecting her. Just being within 15 feet of her, I'm affecting her. So I try to.
So like it's easier to pull.
Yeah, and you're close. We got that
Is
junk.
that just one knot?
One.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. We don't have to tie knot. If you have something, let's say you're at the birth and you didn't bring your rebozo and all you have is a sheet or something, you can also just do this. You just cross it behind her and pull.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Very effective.
Yeah. I'll tie it so it stays there. You know, it just depends on your situation, but you can cross it in the back like that. Can you turn around and show them here? Whoops, keep going. Let's keep going. I'm sorry, my bad. I need to move over here. Okay, there we go. Go ahead and give her a pull. That feel good? Yeah. And we're working smarter, not harder, right? This is lazy doula. Okay, you're being smart, and we're not wearing out the partner either. Okay, make sense? Okay, cool. Who has seen the movie? Are we ready? Okay, The Timeless Way. It's by Enjoy Movies. It's called The Timeless Way. It's a fantastic movie if you get your hands on it. I think most of it is on YouTube, but I encourage you to buy from them. Enjoy videos. And it's a great movie. It's an art documentary, and it documents the history of birth art throughout history, starting from the Ice Age, where we have our first depictions of a woman in labor, right? Like a little stick figure head coming out, all the way into modern day. So what we find throughout history and throughout the world, no matter where you were at on the planet, we were all kind of given birth the same exact way until the advent of the doctor, right? And it was a woman in labor, a helper behind her to the side, sometimes two helpers, and somebody in front. Forever. That was it. That's how we did it. And in the movie, they refer to it as the classic pose. Okay? So for myself, when I'm with a couple as a doula, I try to get us into the classic pose as often as possible, right? So we have the partner, I put the partner in the front, okay? And myself behind. So doula, mom, and I'll have the partner here. Let's say she's on a birth ball. She's on Dr. John, right? She's sitting on the toilet, or she's sitting on an ottoman or a chair, or wherever she's at, if she's sitting, okay? Then we try to get into this situation. Because for me, it's like this unspoken language that we all speak, this universal consciousness that we all know about, because we've all birthed like that. No matter if it was Africa or France or wherever in the world, everybody was doing the same thing. So it's a universal thing. It's something that's encoded in us that this is how we do it, right? So if I can get us here, then it's almost like I'm encouraging more of the same, more of that language to be spoken, right? So I put the partner in front so he can do the eye contact, right, and the touching. She doesn't need to see me, right? She knows I'm there. She wrote the check to me. She knows I'm there. She needs this from the partner, right? That eye contact, that touch. So if mom's on the toilet or on a ball or on an ottoman or on her couch or wherever, she's sitting down in labor and she's having a contraction, what we used to do was the knee press, right? So we were taught in order to do this, what's happening is I'm pushing her legs in and opening up her pelvis, right? Okay, but it's a lot of work. All right, so let's see if I can do it. You're gonna hold the chair. Not that I think I could push you across the room or anything, but I'm just gonna do that. My hands would be here. All right.
I have done that before, and it's
How's that
really hard to keep it for a long time.
Feel good? Yeah, all right, so right now, this sucks. All right. Yeah, no good. And it's a lot of work for the partner. And doing this, it's kind of hard to maintain eye contact, right? So you're and I'm pushing her away, right? So here's what we can do instead that does the kind of the same thing, all right? And brings us together. So I'm gonna X-Men Rebozo her right now, all right? So I'm gonna have you stand up for a second, Lynn. Okay, I'm gonna take the Rebozo. I'm gonna put it around your behind. Oops, and just under your butt. Perfect. Okay, go ahead and sit down like you were. Okay, so the partner's here. Let's say she's on a ball. He can support her in this way, right? And then when she is having a contraction, instead of doing the knee press, take the Rebozo. You're gonna put your hands. This chair is not really gonna allow me to, but have it pretty much close to her hips. If I can, I would be here. But for now, I can do this. It's still gonna work. Okay. And what I'm gonna do is put your knees just slightly closer. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna put my hips at her knees. Okay, and I'm gonna use my body, so I'm not gonna exert too much energy here. And I'm going to push in with my hips while I'm pulling her towards me. Okay, ready? Watch her posture when I do this. Oh, wow, nice. You're doing so good. I love you so much. Okay, so I can do this for a whole minute. Okay, how's that feel? Compared to the knee press? Yes. Big difference, right? Did you see her posture? I'm gonna do it one more time. So what's happening here with her posture? Right, so she's tipping pelvis, opening it up, right? So we know from Gail Tully that's good stuff, right? Okay, and then we're giving a lot more room for the baby to come down, right? Right, so we have her in the optimum positioning here during the contraction. Right, and I can move like this with her if she wanted to like move during her contraction, that's fine, right? I'm doing so good. And then in between, my favorite part, right? Jump proximity. We're gonna get you close. Like you're doing so good, right? Look at you. I'm back there crying, right? Right? Oh, we look for this stuff. Awesome. Okay, so we only have 2 chairs to do this on. So let's all take turns really quickly. And doing this, figure out how to get it done right. And I'm right here to help. So remember to keep your hands close, use your body, not your arms. And you wanna make sure that this mom has her knees straight out and feet down. So 90-degree angle. If it's not a 90-degree angle, you gotta find, it's not gonna work. Because if her knees are pointing down or her knees are pointing up, then you're not gonna be able to get her hips open. Okay, so be mindful of where she's at. I bring yoga blocks. If she's real short, you can put yoga blocks underneath her feet. Like if she's on the toilet and her feet aren't touching the ground, you can put the yoga blocks underneath her. Yoga blocks.
I'm just wondering if there's a way, like, if you've been working for a couple of hours now, and just like jello, really, hold on more. Like, might not be as effective as people tired like yourself, kind of push forward while leaning back at the same time.
You can use your knees. You can put a pillow between the 2 of you. I've used a yoga mat in a pinch because I didn't have a pillow. And you can go knee to knee and look like you're water skiing. But you just use your body weight, not your arms. Because if you're doing it right, you should just be using your body weight and not so much your arms. You're using your body to pull, not your arms. Okay, and pressing in with your hips. But if you can't kneel, then you can do knee to knee, standing. Or this one time, it was super cute. The dad, it wasn't cute that he was hurting, but he'd been in war and he had really, really bad knees. So he couldn't kneel for a long time, but it was really helping her. I had put those gardening pads underneath his knees, but it was still hurting. So he called me they were in the bathroom in the hospital. And I left to go get some water or something. I left the room. But when I came back, he was like, Gena, he called me and it scared me. I thought something bad was happening. He goes, come here, look at this. I come back in the room. Hello. I come back in the room and he's on his back and he's got his feet underneath, pulling with the Reborso. And he's like, I'm doing it. He was so excited. I thought it was the cutest thing ever. It was just adorable. And he
So, Gina, I'm stopping there because we're at 9 o'clock and we can come back to it. We can't hear you.
I was just texting you, telling you it was a good stopping place.
Yeah, that story was like perfect.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was bawling when I walked in. He's this war veteran on his back, pushing his feet into her knees because that's all she wanted. Of course, the one thing that would be really difficult for him to do, that's what she wouldn't get off the toilet. We're in the hospital. And he's just on his back on this dirty ass floor with his feet in her with the Rebozo. And she's like, and he's just beaming. He's just so happy to be of service. I'm like, oh my God, I love you. I love that story.
Beautiful story and a beautiful practice and a beautiful instructor. It's just lovely all around. So let's give our thanks to Gina for her time this evening. Thank you, thank you. And please write down questions. We're going to chat. You're going to give me the videos. I'll put them all in one Google Doc for this class. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, your homework is for folks to watch the videos and then we can talk about them and watch them next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I'm going to send them all to you. If you don't get a chance to do it, we can do a wrap up on the last day, because there's a lot of hours of video and a lot of extras that I want to share with you because it's your group. There's a lot of stuff I want to share, some bonus stuff.
So we will be together next Tuesday at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. Big thank you to you, Gina, and good night to everybody. Peace and baby blessings, folks.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you guys.